Hamilton, Ontario is known as Steel Town. For workers here, tariffs are a real concern.
It's going to hurt the steel industry.
It'll be bad for everybody.
So, you have to take it as it comes.
Just the threat of a 25% tax has already been weighing on steel producers for weeks, not to mention the industry's tens of thousands of employees.
Sales are slow. The order books are low. They've actually put a hiring on freeze on hiring.
Now tariffs could take effect in less than a month. Without an exemption for Canada, businesses could be devastated.
Many key sectors of the economy that rely on steel. It has an infrastructure and a defense application. So you really want your domestic industry protected.
It's a familiar fight. When Donald Trump imposed 25% tariffs on steel in 2018, Canadian exports sank almost immediately. The trade war ended a year later after huge disruptions to businesses on both sides of the border.
We've got a big problem in Canada. We've got to find another way to fuel our economic growth rather than relying on exports to this very, very unreliable trade partner.
In the Ontario border town of Windsor, across the river from Detroit, Ryan Jordan's company transforms steel into parts like railings. He weathered the tariff storm back in 2018.
It was difficult for us. We had to diversify. We're not sure how this is going to play out at this time.
What frightens him most, he says, is the possibility of even higher tariffs.
In a month, now it's 40%, and then a month later it's 50%. I don't know how anyone can survive even quoting a project for the future.
It seems anyone in business these days needs to have nerves of steel. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
So that's the story of steel. What about aluminum? Well, the U.S. gets more than half of its aluminum from Canadian businesses, using it in defense, shipbuilding, and auto sectors. And as Kwabena Oduro shows us, those businesses are mainly in Quebec, and they are feeling the uncertainty.
This Montreal area manufacturer of aluminum products makes poles and supports for streetlights and highway signage. Ever since Jorge Zelaya started working here 7 months ago, he's been worried about losing his job.
At the end of the day, it's the way that I provide food for my wife, for my kid, for myself also.
The company says about 30 to 40% of their production goes to the U.S., generating millions of dollars in annual revenue, and tariffs will only do harm.
The Quebec market is not big enough, to sustain a plant like ours, so we do need shares of the American market.
In 2018, the last time aluminum tariffs were imposed, it was only 10%, but demand temporarily slowed from American buyers. This time, Bruno Mongrain says he's especially worried about counter tariffs because material travels back and forth between the two countries to finish products.
When they bring it into the U.S., it's a 25% tariff, and then we would buy these extrusions, and then another 25% tariff would be added on top of that. So this would create a lot of inflation in our prices.
Aluminum is Quebec's second largest industry, and all but one of the Canadian aluminum plants are based in Quebec. Now the Industry Association is calling on the province to help.
The government has to come in and help them on cash flow, and also on keeping the link to market. So before thinking of diversification, you want to stay in the market.
The province says it's ready to help companies who rely on exports to the U.S.
We will be offering loans to these businesses with a very interesting interest rate.
Aluminum businesses like this one are now in the process of expanding to the rest of Canada. They say this will keep jobs here, ease the worry of employees, while keeping aluminum businesses thriving in Canada. Kwabena Oduro, CBC News, Saint-Julie, Quebec.